Hi, plant buddies. Today we are going to take a trip back to Tonkadale Greenhouse in Minnetonka, Minnesota. Many of you may remember we visited there back in December, and it was one of the places I wanted to look for terrarium plants in that video a couple of weeks back, and I just kind of ran out of time. We didn't have time to go to another location in that video, so um, partly for my own reasoning, I really want to look at the terrarium plants, but we'll take a look at all the house plants while we are there. Um, Weather is kind of up and down here in Minnesota lately. It's been a little bit on the warmer side, but then it did snow overnight last night. Wasn't very fond of that, but despite that, we're going to make a trip over to Tonkadale Greenhouse. The car's waiting outside, so what are we waiting for? Let's go plant shopping. So here we are arriving at Tonkadale Greenhouse, and we're going to time warp inside to this little arrangement of spring plants here. You can see they've got some orchids and then also some spring bulbs, including these beautiful hyacinth, which smell amazing, by the way. I see some tulips right here. Here we have some daffodils and hyacinth, and just a lot of little cute spring planty displays. This one with all the blooms is a jasmine plant, which that also smelled amazing. I had to stop and sniff that little white flower there, and it does smell very good. Also very beautiful. And then we had some mixed planters over to the right that we'll take a peek at here. There are some little Easter Bunny figurines in those. But we have some beautiful Stramanthe, Calatheas. My favorite in the back here, the Aglaonema. That is Aglaonema etta rose. We've got Stramanthe Triostar is the one with the pink variegation. And we've got some of those with some Mandula pothos. And in the front we had little nerve plants or Phytonia and those purple Calathea dati. And another very spring plant would be these primrose over here. And they also had some orchid displays with mixed plants in them. But I wanted to take a close-up look at these primrose. They are absolutely beautiful. They come in many colors, as you can see. And my favorite was these kind of orangish pink or peach colored ones on the bottom here. If I were to purchase a primrose, it would definitely be that one. But they had other purple shades and kind of pinkish shades in there as well. Some kind of spring colors in the planters that are in this area as well. Here they had the pink planters or pots there. I think that's a bird of paradise, the tall one. And I see some monstera, dracaena, and then some beautiful white orchids in the center here. So I had to take a little stop and look at those as well. And then we'll kind of hop across the aisle here in just a moment. But yeah, I think those planters, the pinks, are very spring colored. The other side had kind of some more of the same, those ones with all the little blooms there. Again, the jasmine, the white orchids, dracaena, and monstera. And then some of the more of the pink and green pottery. And another beautiful dracaena right there. Very large one. And then they had some more things over here, but I had to come and take a look at something we'll get to in just a moment here, which is these really brightly colored flowers. I know these as the pocketbook plant, just from an old houseplant book I had when I was in high school. But in a moment here, we'll show the tag on what the kind of more scientific name of that is. But you can see they're very brightly colored and kind of speckled. They're just absolutely beautiful. And I am not 100% sure how to pronounce the actual name of them, but again, I think the common name is the pocketbook plant. They kind of look like little purses in a way, the blooms. So And again, very brightly colored and beautiful and speckled. But from here, we are going to kind of start in with the terrarium plants. I did really want to take a look at these and potentially purchase some. I'm not really quite ready to build another terrarium yet, but it was definitely tempting to perhaps take some of these home with me. So we'll see a little bit later in the video if I did go ahead and do so. These purple ones and the kind of lemon lime green ones here, I think those are amaranth. It should show the tag right there, and I might be incorrect on that. And then these little kind of fern-shaped ones, I wasn't sure what those are either, but I thought those were really interesting. They had a bunch of those here on our other visit as well back in December. They of course had the little miniature coleus right here. And then over to the left of those were some little miniature goldfish plants. I hadn't really thought of putting a goldfish plant in a terrarium, but that might be possible. I'd have to do some research and see if they like that. But these cute little striped ones are the peperomia beetle. And I do really think I would like to put some of those into a larger terrarium. They will kind of vine and climb and stuff like that. So they would be a good thing for the kind of the background to kind of climb up maybe some driftwood or something. And then they had a bunch of little varieties of pilea here. That's what these green ones are. And those look like they would either climb or kind of form a, like a, not trailing, but like a creeping mat on the bottom of the terrarium. So those are kind of interesting. And then they had some other types of pilea over in the back here. This really silver one I thought was very beautiful. And I think I will try to show a tag on what the name of that one was here. But I should mention before we get too far that a lot of times I'll try to hold these tags up and they're not super clear to be able to see while doing the voiceover, but hopefully in the actual video they will show where you enough that you can kind of read those to make out the names of the plants. But the upper shelf here is a bunch of different types of creeping sedum. And then this bottom one was some more of those silver pilea. I think they were called silver cloud. And I thought those were extremely beautiful. Then we had the green sedum, the kind of blue colored sedum. I believe that variegated one is also another type of sedum with the different shaped leaves. But those would all be some good options for a terrarium. And even if I get a whole like 10-gallon or 20-gallon aquarium, there's so many different types. I probably still wouldn't be able to put everything that I really like into a terrarium, but I would like to get a couple different colors of those creeping sedums if I do build another terrarium in the near future. And then we'll kind of take a look at these ones. I think the kind of lemon lime ones were another different type of pilea or possibly a sedum. Some of those look kind of similar. They all have the little tiny leaves. Either way, they're all very cute and very good for terrarium plants. I believe these ones that were green and they almost look like they have white flowers on them, but that's actually variegation in the foliage. I think those may be another type of either pilea or sedum. And then we had some more varieties up on top here. The one I'm zooming in towards there, that is I believe, variegated baby's tears. And they had a few different colors of those too. That is another thing I would really like to try growing in my terrarium when I make another one. But you can see on the right here, they had the regular green, they had the lemon lime color, and then they had some more of the variegated ones over to the left there. But yeah, they had lots and lots of those. I was kind of looking at all those little different sedums and things, and I think I'd like to get the lemon lime color of the baby's tears. and then maybe the silver and green of the regular sedum, the little creeping sedum. That way I'll kind of touch on all three colors, but get to try a couple different types of plants in there. Then they had more of the green creeping sedums on this side. A whole bunch of the blue ones, which I think the blue ones are extremely beautiful. That coloration reminds me of like a blue spruce tree, which I think is just gorgeous. Very, very nice color. But yeah, I think some of those would be really interesting creeping along the bottom of a terrarium. I like to put moss in there too, but these would be some other options for kind of a ground cover to cover up that soil and kind of keep the humidity going down inside the terrarium. So I think this video turned out about the same length as my last video over at Tonkadale Greenhouse. And I actually didn't really go into any of the decor stuff this time like I did back in the December one, just because they had all their Christmas decor out. But I did take a little bit closer look at all these terrarium plants, whereas I may have kind of glossed over them a little bit in that first visit to Tonkadale Greenhouse. But yeah, I've been very interested in them lately and very interested in the potential of making another terrarium sometime in the near future. Then they had the little pileas on the end there, those UFO plants. And then this next row over was a bunch of different string of things. They had the string of pearls and string of hearts and a whole bunch of all the various types of those. So we didn't take a real close look at that, but they had these two really green, kind of emerald green colored cordyline plants on the end here. And I think I'm going to try and show the tag on that one to show the variety. And then I was just about to go down that next aisle and I spotted this fan palm over here, and I just had to show that. I thought it was really neat. So, but you can see it has those very fan-shaped leaves, and we'll hopefully get a little idea on this one here if I got close enough to the tag to make that out. I think it had the word silver in the variety name, but anywho, that is a fan palm there. Very large leaves. And then they had still some more of these Norfolk Island pines. Those are probably kind of hanging around from the Christmas season, maybe. That's where those always seem to come out and be just in all the garden centers. They had some white Fittonia, and then I think those were variegated elephant bush, and then some little containers of the string of turtles here, which is actually another type of pilea. But most people would call that a string of turtles, is kind of what they've become known as. And then they had some little kind of starter bonsai type of plants right here. The one with the larger leaves, that was ficus ginseng. And then the little kind of tree shaped thing to the right of that is actually some sort of an olive tree. And hopefully I got some labels on these. I'm not super familiar with all of these types of plants that are used for that. I do think that is another elephant bush over to the left there. And I think that was something with the word cherry in the name. And yeah, that one's the elephant bush. This might have the more scientific name on it. I think those are a type in the like Portulaca family. Yeah. Doesn't really give a specific variety, but I know the common name of that is the elephant bush. And then I think we might have looked at one more tag on this one. I was kind of curious what those are because they kind of had, the leaves were a little bit sparse, but they were kind of interesting looking and interesting shaped. But yeah, it might have been a little bit blurry. And then I think these might have been some more olive trees right here. Some lucky bamboo or Dracaena, I think it's Sandriana, something along those lines. is actually what lucky bamboo is, but there's some beautiful black pagoda lipstick plants hanging up above in this section, and I always have to kind of show those when I spot them. I just think the black pagoda lipstick plants are extremely beautiful. So, and then I spotted a little selection of tiny ferns here, and someone had left one of the larger maidenhair ferns to the left of those. But yeah, I had to stop and look at all the tiny ferns. And again, I was very tempted to purchase some of these, but with the humidity needs for ferns, and the fact that I already have a couple extras left from my terrarium build, I figured I should probably kind of get an aquarium ready first. I don't want a bunch of little ferns to have to keep alive outside of a terrarium, but I like those ones in the front. Those are the lemon button fern. I saw some rabbit's foot fern in there. Those are some type of a bird's nest fern, more toward the back. And then the ones with the silver stripes down the center are the ribbon fern. Ribbon fern's definitely one of my favorite types, and I do have a little one of those in my terrarium that I made in my video last week. So these were some wire vine. I know some people use those in terrariums. I've grown those outside and they grow pretty fast, so I'm not sure how long they would last in a terrarium before they started to take over. Then we had some English ivy here, and I really liked those particular ones because they have kind of a tricolor, like three different colors to the leaves. And then there were some baby spider plants to the right of those. We've got some polka dot plant to the left there, a bunch of white ones, and then one last pink one. And then some beautiful Photonia right here. They had the white ones and kind of a reddish shade here as well. Again, very good terrarium plants, and I do have a white one and a red one in my terrarium that I made. A lot of people will call those nerve plant as well as kind of a common name for those. But yeah, I've always thought those are really beautiful, and I would definitely not try to keep one alive in my house outside of a terrarium condition. So kind of the same with the polka dot plant in my opinion, but they had some beautiful Thematophyllum down on the end here, some large ones. This one that looks a bit like a peace lily here, that is a black bat flower. I always think those are interesting. Never really tried growing one, and I've heard they can be a little bit temperamental, but they do get some really beautiful flowers on them if you can get them to bloom. And then they had some more white Photonia and some more red Photonia on this side of that row. These little guys here were some little tiny baby curly lipstick plants. And you can see to the left of those some more of those beautiful black pagoda lipstick plants. And I actually wasn't sure what that one was. I had to pick that up and take a look at the label. Usually when those get a little bit larger, you can really tell it's a curly lipstick plant because they, like, the leaves curl, but on those little baby ones, it wasn't quite as evident. And then we have some peperomia over on the opposite side of the aisle here. Peperomia also work very well in terrariums. They had some different varieties of the Peperomia obtusifolia. The striped one here is a Peperomia stilt. That might be kind of fun to try growing in my terrarium too the next time when I build one. I think those are really pretty. And these are your Peperomia Ginny, the ones with the kind of pinkish edges on the leaves. And then I thought these Peperomia were extremely beautiful. I think they're called Pixie Lime, and I believe I'm going to try and show a tag in just a moment here, but another one that I'd be kind of curious to perhaps try growing with if I do make another terrarium. But I'd say for the number of times I've probably already said that in this video, I don't think I could fit every single type of plant into a 10 or even a 20-gallon aquarium if I made a terrarium. But then we're kind of walking through the Hoya area here. These are some of the regular green Hoya carrii. I don't know if I got a whole lot of names on those. Some more. Oh, these were the Hoya Crimson Queen up on the top shelf here. Those really caught my eye with the kind of sun-stressed pink coloration on the leaves. And we'll take a look at these ones with the tiny leaves. I was kind of curious what type of Hoyas those were. And Hoya Croniana. So the dark ones are the Hoya Croniana Black, and then the ones on the right here are the Hoya Croniana Silver. Both of those are beautiful, and I liked their little small leaves. They had some very large Pachira aquatica that just went out of frame over to the left, and then they had some huge planters over to the right, and a bunch of Boston ferns hanging along the top all down the aisle there. And then we're kind of starting to get into the succulent area here. We had some more Hoyas on this side as well. I see the Hoya maculata with the larger leaves there. Another favorite of mine when it comes to Hoyas. And then I think we'll take a little bit closer look at some of the succulents right here. I didn't really try to stop and look at tags on everything. As I said in my previous video at Tonkadale Nursery, if I tried to ID everything in the video, it would just be hours long to try and do so. So I just kind of highlight some things here and there. And a lot of them I just kind of know the names of, but I thought this Hoya was also really pretty. It had a lot of silver in the leaves, and hopefully that tag was legible in the video there. I was kind of behind the recording box as I watched it here. Some more of the green Hoya carrii there with the heart-shaped leaves. I see. Oh, I think we're actually getting back into the peperomia section here. There are those gorgeous pixie lime peperomia again. I love the color on those, and the kind of smaller leaves I think would make them nice for a terrarium. The Ginny again there. And then these are the Peperomia russo, which are one of those kind of ripple-leafed peperomia types. And I was trying to show the beautiful bottoms of the leaves, and it was a little bit hard to flip them over. I didn't want to damage the leaf, so I'm actually going to kind of pick one up and flip it over in just a moment here. But I saw watermelon peperomia in the background. See, there's the gorgeous kind of rust red colored undersides to those russo leaves. And then we had some more of the peperomia obtusifolia varieties. These are some variegated strawberry begonia. And then I spotted these begonia escargot. Those are a type of Rex begonia. And if you've been with me for a while, since last fall, you will know I did have a beautiful large begonia escargot in my backyard last summer, and it is currently in my overwintering room. I made a little tour of that back in fall and showed how huge that plant was. I was just kind of trying to show the fuzzy little stems on those. They have really red hairs on them. But so with my one that's in my overwintering room at the moment here, it has lost all its leaves. So I'm honestly not sure if it is still alive, but I guess come spring we'll find out. So I was kind of contemplating possibly buying one of those, but again, with a plant that can be kind of picky about humidity, I was like, it's a ways until planting season here in Minnesota yet. And since I have already sent one of those to Plant Heaven, I didn't want to have to try and keep another one alive all the way until it can go outside this spring. Those are some other very gorgeous begonias right there, and you can see those were all blooming as well. And then these are some coffee plants, and then the striped one is the geonanthus or geoplant. And then we had some more of those UFO plants or the Pilea. I'm not even going to try to say the name. Peppermoides. I'm still probably saying that wrong. But, and then these were some of the. Trying to think of the name of that Pilea. It's escaping me at the moment here, but hopefully you may possibly be able to make it out on the tags there. And then these were some beautiful little Madagascar palm in the next aisle over from that. I always think those are really cool. I'm very tempted to maybe eventually purchase one of those. And then there are some beautiful variegated crown of thorns behind those. On this side we have some string of hearts hanging down from the hanging baskets. There were some very red colored cryptanthus right there. Those are beautiful. And then some little pots of the string of hearts down below the hanging ones here. Looks like those are the variegated type there. And then we started to get into some cacti here. I thought these ones were really cool. And I actually noticed, I've never really known what these cactus are. And I looked at one of the tags, and I believe these are actually called brain cactus. Or that's kind of a common name for it at least. And it is a little bit of kind of what that looks like, I guess, in a way. So they have a very unusual texture. And then we had some sand dollar cacti right here. I've always thought those are really beautiful. So I may eventually have to add one of those to my collection. And that label may have had some scientific names. A lot of these I kind of know more by their common name. I know everybody calls that the sand dollar cactus. And actually not sure what the ones on the left there were. Oh, we're getting into some Discidia here. Oh yes, in fact, so I think the green ones and the variegated ones, those are the million hearts type of Discidia. They look really nice in hanging baskets because they'll trail down with those little leaves and make just a chain of that. So, and then let's see, we had some really pretty. I think those were the elephant bush in the background there. Some really large ones. And I don't remember if I said it when we passed the smaller ones earlier, but those are actually in the Portulaca family. But yeah, I've never seen one as big as the ones that were on those shelves. And then we had some Venus flytrap right here. We had some little baby pitcher plants there. And then some cute little pings. These are all carnivorous plants. And the whole bunch of the pings were flowering, sending out those cute little purple flowers. And then there's another type of pitcher plant to the right there with the really kind of reddish, orangish colored leaves. And they had these cute little gardens made out of the um, carnivorous plants in the back here. I see some pitcher plants in there and kind of all the other types that we've already shown, but I found it interesting that they had kind of that little water reservoir in each of those, but I know those are kind of bog plants, so they do love a lot of moisture, so that probably keeps them very happy having that little kind of water container in the center. And then these aeoniums are absolutely gorgeous here. I'm trying to think of the name. Something. Oh, Black Rose. And I've seen these in some other people's videos on YouTube lately, but I don't know if I've ever seen them in person, and they are absolutely gorgeous. Um, very dark colored. They had some aloe vera right here, and then we're kind of cross. Oh, the bear paw succulent right here. those cute little kind of paw-shaped leaves. And just kind of going through some more succulents here. Trying to remember, I might have tried to show a tag for this one. Key lime pie was the variety. I couldn't quite make out the rest of that label, but and I believe these might be some type of agave right here. Very pretty. Perhaps not. I couldn't quite make out the label, but they look they look a lot like agave, but yeah, some sort of succulent. And then we had some different varieties of the kalanchoe on this shelf. The very fuzzy looking one in the back, and then the kind of flapjack varieties in front of those. And then there's just a closer up of those beautiful variegated crown of thorns. There were two big, beautiful Schefflera right on the end of that display. And then we had some Codex plants over to the left here. I know that really stringy one is a climbing onion. And then these very green, lush looking ones are the ant plant. And I think it's really interesting on this one. I'm going to turn it a little bit right there, but it actually had a couple holes in it, which I think that's kind of why ants like to live in those. But and then we had some of the Euphorbia fire sticks up on the top shelf there. Some different types of agave right here. And then back over here we had some different types of aloe. And I think I showed some labels on a couple of these. I can't remember what the prickly one is. I know it starts with an E. And then I always think these ones with the spots are really pretty. I should show a label here on that one in just a moment. And there was one of those flowering in the background that I'll show in a moment here as well. Yeah, right there. And I can't quite make that out during the voiceover here, but hopefully that was clear enough where you can kind of zoom in on the actual video to take a look at that. These, I believe, were the aloe candy cane right here. Actually, a couple different types of those. I think candy cane, I'm pretty certain, is the one that has more patterning to the leaves. I think those are extremely beautiful. And then kind of a green one with the patterning on the leaves to the right of that. And then a whole bunch of those little fuzzy kalanchoe right here. They're kind of pretty, kind of fuzzy looking. And then we had this unusual looking succulent up on the top shelf here. I should show the tag on that one, and I honestly don't know if I know how to pronounce the name of that one, but it kind of reminds me of like a whole cluster of Haworthia. Yeah, there we go. But it's not. It's something else, but it does look like a whole bunch of little Haworthia plants kind of all growing. We're back over to the agave here. The store was kind of busy today, so I did have to stop filming a few times. There were just too many people around, so that was actually one of those moments right there. I had to kind of stop filming in this aisle for a little bit, and then kind of start back in with the agave. And I think those were fishbone cactus that were to the left of the agave. And see, I think those are squill. No, there's a few different names people call those. I've heard them called leopard lily, I believe. But yeah, I think they're like a silver squill. And some more little succulents there. Some really large aloe vera right behind those. And then I believe these guys might be some type of a euphorbia right here, if I'm not mistaken. Like I said, we didn't really look super in depth at every label in this section on the visit today, but some various cacti over to the right of those. There's a little bog gardens behind that section again there. And then we had some lithops here, or the living stones. And I thought those purple ones kind of in the center right here were really neat. I think those are in the lithop family. I hear those ones called, they call all of them living stones. Split stone, I think. Or split rock. Split rock. Um, yeah, I find the smaller ones hard to take care of. I've never tried that split rock one. It would be kind of interesting to try. And then there was just a close up on those fishbone cactus again there. But yeah, I always think that lithops are very cute and kind of cool, but they can be kind of challenging to care for. You need to make sure you're watering those at the proper time and not watering them when they go dormant, which I think is twice a year. So it might be some point of winter and then some point of summer. And then we had some, um, oh, I just said it, and now the name is escaping me here. Haworthia. We had the blue crystal Haworthia. I always think that one is really beautiful. And then we had a variegated one here. Again, hopefully you can kind of make out those labels in the video. On the actual video, you can kind of pause or zoom in, whereas during the voiceover, I can't really do that. So it's also a smaller screen, and then the recording box kind of blocks a big section of the screen as well. So, but yeah, a whole bunch of different Haworthia varieties here. That really lemon lime colored one is really beautiful right there, as well as the variegated one at the end here. That one is also very beautiful. I have heard that Haworthia are a type of kind of succulent plant that can take a little bit less lighting, a little bit lower lighting conditions than a lot of other succulents can. I don't know if that's going to be true of those variegated ones. Usually, variegated plants do tend to need a little bit more light because they don't have as much chlorophyll. They had some beautiful jade plants in the background there that were really large. And speaking of jade or crassula, we're kind of heading into that section right here. You had your regular green one, and then my favorite are always these Shrek ear or ogre ear jade. I just think the uh, leaves are just such a cool shape. They had the variegated ones right there, a bunch of the smaller ogre ear ones here, and some more green ones. And then they had these funky euphorbia here. They always remind me of a bonsai, how they have those big exposed roots, like a ficus ginseng would have in a bonsai form. But then all of a sudden, there's just all the arms with the little prickly looking things on them up at the top. And some more, going through some more succulents here. There's some more euphorbia fire sticks. I think the rest of the way, all the way down, was just a bunch of different types of euphorbia. And you can see the large fire sticks up on the top here. I think some of those were blooming, and they also had some very beautiful bright coloration to the upper parts of them. And kind of some variegated forms of those as well there. And then across the way here, we had the string of turtles. That is also a type of pilea. And that is one I'm a little bit curious to grow in a terrarium as well, potentially. I know most Pilea varieties do pretty well in terrariums. Then we had some more of the string of hearts here. I thought that variegated one in the middle there was really beautiful. It had a leaf with a lot of variegation on it. A string of watermelons, and then the ruby necklace, I think is what those next ones are called. Those might have been like string of fish hooks. And then we have the wax ivy right there, which looks very similar to the English ivy, but it's got a thicker leaf, and the leaves are very waxy. Then we had some ripsalis down on the end here. And behind those there were some Madagascar palms. And I just wanted to show this, that succulent with the pink edging, I believe is a type of kalanchoe, and the variegated agave to the left of that. I thought both of those were extremely beautiful, so just wanted to take a little close up of those guys. You can see there were a lot of taller ficus down on the end here, and then there were some beautiful jewel orchids. And every time I see those this time of year, and everywhere I see them, they seem to be blooming, so that this must be kind of their spring bloom time, because you can see almost every single one of them at Tonkadale had a bloom spike on it. And then some beautiful orchids behind those. Variegated fiddle leaf fig was to the right there. We'll take a closer look at some of those a little bit later in the video. And then just a whole bunch of really large succulents on this other side. I think these were different echeverias, but very large ones. Some are those kalanchoe with the flapjack kind of leaves. And then all along the front of this display, those were the peperomia beetle. They had a whole bunch of 4-inch planters with those. Some cute little succulent planters in the back there with a few different types in them. And then, yeah, I think pretty much this whole section was all Aeonium and Echeveria, different varieties. That one kind of looks like a pine cone to the right there, the shape of it. But yeah, you can see there is a lot of different colors that those are available in, a lot of different shapes, and they're just absolutely beautiful. A lot of them have a lot of the kind of pink colors in them and blue. But yeah, very, very, very beautiful. More of the kalanchoe there with the kind of sun-stressed edges. And then one of my personal favorites that I don't yet have in my collection, the white ghost euphorbia, up in the tall shelf there. Another cute little mixed planter. That one's got the variegated bear paws to the right side of it there. And back over to the echeveria here. Really like that one. That's got a lot of like bluish toward the center and the pink toward the edges. Really beautiful aeoniums here. Very red. I should show the name in a moment on the tag. Oh, that's the Pink Witch is the variety name of that one. And those are just so colorful and beautiful. Never tried growing one of those, but I would like to, and it'd have to be between either that really pink colored one, the Pink Witch, or the Black Rose. I think those two are both extremely beautiful. But yeah, we'll pop over to the next aisle. We had a whole bunch of different orchids over here. We had some Monstera Thai Constellation right in the center right there. And then I always love these white orchids that have the splotches of the kind of magenta or like dark pinkish color to them. And I also really love those kind of peach colored ones to the right of that. A couple of my favorites when it comes to orchids. We had a bunch of different types of air plant or tillandsia in these pots right here. A whole bunch of different colors of those. And then another little delicate yellow orchid. And right below the orchids, we had the beautiful Monstera deliciosa lemon lime. And not too long ago, these were pretty expensive and hard to find. Like the first time I saw one of those in person, I want to say that they used to be like $300. And I was absolutely shocked to look at the price on these and see that they were like $39.99. So that was kind of tempting to get as well. With my space limitations, I probably should not bring home another Monstera Deliciosa variant, but if I did, it would definitely be that lemon lime colored one. I think those are extremely beautiful, and it's kind of crazy how quickly they went from being extremely expensive to like all of a sudden I'm seeing that big one there for just like $39.99. It's kind of crazy, but I have heard that some people have started finding those at big box stores from Costa Farms was putting them out. So I think that was very likely the reason for the drastic and fast price drop on those. And then we had some different types of cypress and more Norfolk Island pine. I think those may still be kind of hanging around from Christmas season yet, but I feel like they would probably grow well outside, especially in the case of the cypress. And then, let's see, we had some syngonium, and then I thought that, oh, I didn't show it very long. That cordyline in the background there was extremely beautiful. I think that was called chocolate. And then we had some of the variegated Alocasia odora right there. And then we got into some anthurium down this section right here. I know I showed most of the tags. Again, I'm not so certain that I'm going to be able to make those out. I know the one with the really textured leaves, that is the Radicans by Luxurians, a hybrid one. I really have not gotten very much into anthurium, but I think that Radicans by Luxurians would be probably the one I would get if I did try one. These ones had some beautiful red coloration. That's the Anthurium Water Dragon. I might have missed a name on, there was maybe a smaller section of something different there, but then these next ones are the variegated Anthurium hookerii. I always think those are really beautiful too. They have some interesting variegation to them. Kind of funny, they're all variegated ones, but I think they're just labeled hookerii. One of those had a very beautiful pink leaf right here. I had to get a close up on that leaf just because it was so gorgeous. And then we had another green variety here. I actually don't think I was able to find a tag on that one. Maybe those are actually the regular green hookerii. But and then I really liked these ones. These had like kind of an orangish red colored leaf to them. And I believe I will show a tag here for that one. Something Rojo is the name of it. But yeah, I thought those were beautiful. I don't know if I've ever seen that variety before, and they had a ton of those. And then we'll hop over to the other side here. We had a bunch of different types of bromeliad. You can see the little pineapple bromeliad in the center there, those little tiny cute pineapples. But I spotted something I was very interested in right here, which was more ferns. So it's kind of funny because before I got on my terrarium kick, um, I would have really glossed over the ferns, but I've been very interested in them lately because I am interested in building some more terrariums in the near future, or at least a terrarium in the near future. So these were some different type of maidenhair ferns. Even that one with the kind of pinkish leaves, that was some type of a maidenhair fern there, a different variety. I see some ribbon fern in the background there, the ones I love with the kind of silver stripe down the leaves. And then we have, I should show a tag on this. I think this might be the one that some people would call kangaroo fern, but I believe the tag had more of a scientific name. Actually, they called it like, it might have been like Laura's fern or something along those lines. The really delicate looking ones here, those are the rabbit's foot fern. And then we had a type of bird's nest fern here. I think those were tornado bird's nest fern. As you can see, they are hurricane bird's nest fern. Probably because of the way the leaves are all kind of twisted up on those. And then I spotted two blue oil fern. Those are my favorite type of fern. Absolute favorite. I just love the kind of like iridescent leaves that are kind of blue looking, like blue iridescence. And then we had a really cute little button fern to the right of those in the center here. I was checking the blue oil ferns to see if they had any spores. They did not yet, but they get really bright orange spore patches on the backs of the leaves when they mature. And then I've always wondered what this plant right here is. It is an eyelash fern, I learned today. I've seen small little versions of those in, mixed terrarium plant sections, and I was never sure if it was a fern or kind of what it was. But yeah, that is an eyelash fern. And I think that one is extremely cool too. And I can see where it gets the name. They do kind of look like eyelashes. And then to the right of those were the cute lemon button fern. That is another one I would really like to add to my terrarium. And then I believe we had some staghorn fern. These were the Japanese bird's nest fern, the ones that have kind of the lemon lime coloration that are in the center of the screen right now here. And then I think we were just going to different sizes of some of the same plants here, because I think those were some more rabbit's foot fern. And then these really bright ones, these are tiger fern, which are basically, I believe, a variegated Boston fern. I think their variegated leaves are really cool. It's had a lot of variegation on them. I like it a little bit more when they're more mixed, like kind of that leaf right in the center there. You could really tell that that had a lot of the dark and the neon greens in it. Then we had another variety of bird's nest fern here. I think I should be showing a label in a moment. Yeah, it was hidden behind the recording box. Hopefully you could make that out in the actual video here. They had some really tall Dracaena down on the end, and actually all the way down this aisle, different tall Dracaena varieties. And then some of the ferns kind of repeat on this side. They did have like one crocodile fern here, which I love the texture of the leaves. You can see where it gets its name, crocodile fern. That'd be another fun one to try and put in my terrarium. Again, I'm probably just picking out way too many things to actually fit everything in a terrarium though, but I'm just like, I want to try this kind and this kind and this kind in there. Then they had some different Boston fern varieties here, which I actually didn't know that came in different colors, but well, that one had a little bit different leaves. That's the Boston fern cotton candy. But then in the front here, they have a lemon lime variant of the Boston fern as well. Some more of those eyelash ferns, which I'm very fascinated by those. Another one I would like to put in my terrarium. And then we're going to kind of hop across the section here. We had some different type of Aralias over on this side. And I should show, I think I show the tag on all of these here. I'll just kind of zoom in most likely, but yeah, darn it, I can't quite make those out, but again, hopefully, even if you have to pause the video, if you're kind of curious. This one is um, Japanese Aurelia spiderweb, I think was the variety of that one. Really beautiful leaves. And then we got into some Dracaena. I love that really tall one there, or the one that's taller than the others. That is kiwi, and I think some of the big box stores call that something else. Those are some of the Dracaena Tornado, and then I think this was one of the lemon ones, Dracaena Lemon Lime possibly. We've got the Dracaena Janet Craig, I believe, on the right here. And then one with the white, that is, I think Jade Jewel. I think they're all beautiful, but I really love some of the ones with the white stripes in the leaves, are some of my favorites. And speaking of favorites, I did find the Aglaonema section. They had one little Aglaonema Pictum tricolor in the center was what I was zooming in on. And then those are your Aglaonema Silver Bay, Aglaonema Golden Powder. I believe the red were the Aglaonema Geely Red, I think. Trying to see if I can make out any of those tags sticking up out of there. But yeah, I'm pretty sure those are Geely Red. And to the left of those, some beautiful big Aglaonema Frosted Ghost. Love the coloration of those. And then these are Aglaonema Golden Fluorite down on the end here. Hopping across there, we've got Aglaonema Etta Rose with the really soft pink in the variegation. And then kind of the same as what we looked at on the other side, the Geely Red, Golden Powder right here, and the Silver Bay over to the left there. But yeah, definitely my favorite genus of plants, hashtag popularize Aglaonema. I was going to say if you post on Instagram, feel free to use that tag popularize Aglaonema with your Aglaonema pictures. And feel free to tag me in it if you would like to. My username on there is the same as here, so just planty_buds. And then we had some large Pachira aquatica or money tree down on the end. And then just a little section of palms here. We had some more little baby spider plants right there. And then a few varieties of Dieffenbachia down on the end here. I'm going to try to show the label on this one. I think it was Dieffenbachia Bright Star, if I'm not mistaken. But I love how that almost has like a tricolor with the really white and the more neon and then the regular green. Oh, Starbright. I'm sorry. Dieffenbachia Starbright is the name of that one. This next one over is the Dieffenbachia Camouflage. And you might be able to make out the tag there, but yeah, that's definitely Dieffenbachia Camouflage. And then I think that was more of the same in the front here, some more Dieffenbachia Camouflage. Very beautiful, very beautiful. And then we'll hop into the next section here. We had some various colors of the ZZ plant. Looks like mainly the dark one, the Raven ZZ plant, and then the regular green ZZ plant. With the Raven, I always think it's interesting how their growth comes in the bright green, like that one in the background just a moment ago there. The growth comes in like a neon green color, and then kind of hardens off over time to the more black. And then here we have some beautiful variegated fiddle leaf figs. I have not very often seen these in person. I've definitely never seen large variegated fiddle leaf figs like these. Those are very beautiful. And then we had a bunch of other ficus varieties here, pretty much every coloration and pattern of the rubber tree type of ficus. So the Taniki right there. I'm forgetting the name of the more red colored Taniki here. But yeah, that's the one that has the variegation, but it's also very red colored. We've got some more of the kind of dark green shade down on the end here. I know the really dark colored one that doesn't have variegation, I know that one is the Ruby. We passed that way back at the beginning there. I thought this Dracaena Janet Craig was really cool here. You don't often see those this large, but you can see how it makes those really long canes, and it's just got kind of little puffs of leaves all over on that. And then there was one beautiful Ficus triangularis, variegated right there that we just went by. But yeah, some more of those, the beautiful red variegated. Those are ruby right there, the dark colored ones. Taniki, Shiveriana. And then back down to the other side of the beautiful variegated fiddle leaf figs there, or Ficus lyrata would be the scientific name for that one. But yeah, I had to take another quick peek at those. I just thought they were so cool. And then you had some little baby versions of the plain green Ficus lyrata just to the right of those. And then we'll hop across. We're going to look at some Stromanthe and Calathea on the other side here. That's the Stromanthe Triostar. And to the right of that, those were mixed assortment of Marantas. Looks like the red Maranta, lemon lime, and then in the background were the regular green Maranta. Yeah, those Triostars are gorgeous. This is the Calathea macoyana. Some people also call that peacock Calathea because of the shape of the pattern. And I had to look at a label on this one, but I believe this one was the Calathea Freddy. And to the left of that, these are very similar to Calathea dati, but these, I should show a label, I believe, in a moment here. These were actually Calathea Princess Jessica, I believe. And the difference between those and the dati, Princess Jessie, they're like a dati, but then with the extra kind of paintbrush strokes of purple around the edges. Here we had the Calathea lancifolia or rattlesnake Calathea. Those are another favorite of mine. I don't try to keep many Calathea just because they're very picky about humidity and watering. They do not like to dry out at all. They will very quickly deteriorate if they do. And I'm actually not certain. Oh, I think I'm showing a tag down at the bottom there. Hopefully you can make that out. But yeah, those are really pretty. Those almost look like the Macoyana, but with a more solid coloration and silver. In the back we have, forgetting the name, sorry. And then more Calathea Macoyana here. I'm going to show the back of one of these leaves. You can see the fronts are almost kind of see-through on the lighter colored part, and then just look at that back, like that maroon or dark red. Absolutely beautiful. And then we had a bunch of large sago palm right here. I always think those are cool looking. I have heard they can be spider mite magnets, but and then we have ponytail palm right after those. And when we get down to the end here, there's a couple really large ones down on the floor right here. Yeah, look at those ones, just huge. And then the next aisle down, I think we're going into some pothos here. We do have beautiful large philodendron McCulley's finale right here. Look at those bright red leaves. They kind of come out as that color and then kind of slowly change to a more green color over time. There's a few philodendron varieties that are very similar, so I wanted to kind of show the label, but yeah, those were the McCulley's finale. Some beautiful Mandula pothos right here. We've got the Marble Queen pothos, the Cebu Blue pothos right there, kind of bluish coloration to the leaves. And then right after those, we had some Syndapsis varieties here. I think they had this one labeled as Silvery Ann. Yeah, Syndapsis Silvery Ann. We've got some of the Syndapsis Trubii Moonlight, the ones with the more solid colored leaves that have a lot of silver to them. And then right above that, we have some Syndapsis Java Platinum right here. And I did have one very similar to that, Syndapsis Silver Hero, which in my opinion, those two types pretty much look exactly alike. But I did end up sending mine to Plant Heaven. I'm not sure if the silver ones are a little bit less forgiving with watering, but I think it kind of got underwatered. And then I think these labels might have just said Syndapsis pictus, but I think those might be the exotica due to the larger leaves. We've got Philodendron Jungle Boogie, a big one there. And then these are Thematophyllum Xanadu. And I know for a while these were definitely technically their own genus, and I believe they have recently been are now considered to be philodendron again, but I still tend to call them Thematophyllum. That one is the Goldii, another Thematophyllum, or I guess technically philodendron again. I love the like multi-lobed leaves on those; they're really cool. This one was a philodendron black cardinal. It looks like it may have gotten a little bit less light than it would like to because it's got one very dark black cardinal colored leaf and then the rest are kind of green. These were some philodendron painted lady, and then I think there were orange marmalades which kind of blended in with it. And then these are the philodendron snowdrift right here. The leaves looked a little unhappy on those, but and then we had some beautiful philodendron Brazil down on the end here. And then I was impressed with these Dracaenas right here. They must have been 6 or 7 feet tall, the ones to the right. So then I had to go back and take a look at those because I noticed they're like multi-branched down in the trunk section here. I don't think have very often seen them where they branch out. Like usually it's just one stem. So I thought that was really cool. And the tag should be near the bottom there for what variety of Dracaena that is. I feel like that must have taken a long time to grow. Those must be some fairly old Dracaena there to get that large and have those woody trunks like that. Then we have the Dracaena Song of India right there, also another beautiful one. And then it was just peeking over behind those. It looks like they're getting a lot of the annuals ready for the coming spring planting season. So it's exciting to see that because that does kind of make it feel like spring and planting season are coming closer. So love to see that. But yeah, we'll kind of take a walk down the philodendron area. Those were again the philodendron Brazil right there. We've got some little section of philodendron micans and then some of the green cordatum or heartleaf philodendron. And then these were actually philodendron pink princess, but they didn't have much for variegation. You can see kind of one little pink speck on that newest leaf on that one. Back to the painted lady again. And then I should show a tag in a moment on these. I had to look at a tag to identify them, and I feel like they might be the one that you don't see very often. And of course, it was behind the voiceover box, but another big jungle boogie right here. And then I think the rest of the way down that aisle kind of repeated the same plants we looked at on the other side. So taking a quick peek through the Monstera right here, that's the Adansonii, I believe the wide form. And then we had some really cool cast iron plants right here. Another plant I feel like you don't see super often at a lot of places. I think these were the regular green ones, but that one did have kind of some variegation stripes down it that I zoomed in on there. And then they also had the cast iron plant, the Milky Way variant of it with all the little speckles on the leaves here. I think those ones are really cool. The green ones did look a little bit healthier and thicker, but I always just love those ones with their little dots on the leaves. Then we had some peace lily down on the end here, or spathiphyllum. We had a bunch of the regular green ones. I see some variegated ones. That one might be a domino that has the really noticeable variegation there. And then I think this one that almost has silvery looking variegation. I may show a tag in a moment here, but I want to say it's called like Bantel's Sensation. They may have had just Sensation on there, but yeah, I always thought those ones are really pretty. Like that variegation, I think it looks really silvery on those ones. And then some more really large peace lilies down on the end here. These guys were huge. I mean, they're pretty much sitting on the floor, or maybe there's a pallet under there, but they're like probably at least 5 feet tall, and the leaves are just giant on those ones. Then some more of the little silvery ones there, and then they just kind of repeat the rest of the way down the row. You saw some very large Monstera deliciosa down on the end of that aisle. And then I had to take a quick peek through the Dracaena. They're kind of off on their own with stuff getting moved around, but I really love those ones with the really yellow leaves there, and I hopefully showed a tag when I at the very beginning when I moved there. But you see those in big box stores a lot right now, the ones with the really yellow. Then they had another big section where they're starting to prepare for the spring planting season here. It looks like a bunch of hanging baskets they had. Uh, Gosh, I forget the name. Those ones that look like petunias, but they're something else. Kalancho, Kalancho, something like that. But it had like that, a type of plectranthus, a lantana, and a geranium, I think, was what was in each of those. But yeah, we'll pop back over to the snake plant or Sansevieria here. I always really like that one with the white stripes. I think that one's really pretty. We have some Laurentii, or a lot of Laurentii down on this end. This one with the kind of silvery leaves, that is the moonshine. And I saw some whale fin over to the left that just kind of went off screen there. But yeah, so I was actually almost done filming in this area, but I had to pop back over and catch the Sansevieria here. Then a bunch of the different, more starfish shaped ones down on the end here. Bunch of different varieties of those. And then kind of just panning over to all of those planters that are getting ready for spring there. And then I did want to just kind of pop into the big kind of cacti and succulent room over out towards the front here. Um, these were some, no, they're euphorbia. I'll hopefully show a tag here. I thought they were really cool. And I feel like I have not seen those ones around before, or not as often as some of the other types. I like how they have kind of the dark edges on kind of the corners there. Some fire sticks. This kind of curly looking one, I believe that is the Euphorbia amok, if I'm pronouncing that correctly. They had some Trigona right behind that just went out of view there. Some Euphorbia fire sticks that have some really bright yellow tops on them there. But yeah, they have some really large cacti in this room. Another little display of various cacti over here. That one that has kind of I don't even actually think they are pokey, but it looks like it has really long pokers there, but I think those are kind of papery. That one is labeled agave cactus. Yeah, looking back towards the center there, again, you can see some of those are just huge. They had some more of those funky little. Oh, actually, these might be a little bit different. Are these the? Yeah, I can't quite make out, but I don't think those are the brain cactus like we saw in the other room there. Some mermaid tails in the middle. We got some of the twisty ones there. Euphorbia trigona. And then some other cute little ones down on this other little round display here. I wanted to see what these ones right here were called, but I think they were labeled wrong. Because yeah, those are not a rat tail cactus. At least I don't think so. They look more euphorbia-like, but because yeah, rat tail cactus should be long and like trailing down, and those looked a very different shape than that. In fact, we're going to pop over to this other little display here, and then right above that is an actual rat tail cactus that we'll show in a moment. But they had some cute little mixed planters here. I really liked those. I think they might have only been like $9.99. But yeah, up here we have some different types of the rat tail cactus. And I think this one is a golden rat tail cactus right here. Hopefully the tag shows up there, but yeah, I think that's the golden rat tail cactus. Kind of reminds me of the monkey tail cactus, but not as furry as a monkey tail cactus. Some more big euphorbia right here. And some more taller cacti in the center again. I see like some old man cactus, I think, or what those were on the bottom. Oh, I thought this cactus right here looks like Mickey Mouse. Look there's like a head and then an ear to both sides. Just had to. I'm glad I remembered to point that out. That's what I was thinking as I was filming this. Over here we have some feather cactus. You can see how little growths on them kind of look like little white feathers. And I always think those are super cute. Some more little cactus on the display behind those. Oh, we have got some little versions of the silver dollar cactus right here. They're in like a tiny little, like 1 or 2 inch planter. I thought the big green one right there was really cool. And then another euphorbia behind that. Also, you can see outside that it snowed overnight. You can tell it's not a lot, but I'm still annoyed with it. And then we've got some more of those white ghost euphorbia right here. Again, another one I would definitely like to add to my plant collection at some point. I think those are really cool. We got a San Pedro, the kind of green, almost fin-shaped one there. We got some more of those ones that have the kind of papery. Uh, they look like they'd be really prickly, but they're actually really papery. And this room was kind of my last stop as I was finishing filming, and I apologize if it seems a little bit hurried in this room. I was starting to run out of battery, so. And then this tall guy here, I thought it was actually a really large aloe vera, and then I noticed the label and it says century plant. So yeah, that's not what I thought it was. It's very aloe vera like, but yeah, I guess they probably would not grow that huge like that. But yeah, it reminded me of just a ginormous, gigantic aloe vera, the shape of it. But yeah, we'll take a quick peek down this edge here. I'm hoping I got a label on this guy because it's another one of those really bumpy textured ones. Like I was saying that I liked on the other side before we got down to the end. And again, hopefully some of the labels are showing up through this part. Ooh, these are definitely Arizona rainbow cactus. That's another one I've always really liked. I like the pretty coloration on them. And as you can see, they kind of come in like all shapes and sizes. Like usually when you see the little ones, they're more uniformly straight up and down. But yeah, those are kind of all different shapes. There's got a lot of different colors of terracotta in this room, which makes sense. That is probably a preferred type of pottery for cactus to grow in. So got a big euphorbia there. Another round display with a bunch of little guys in it. More terracottas. Oh, I really liked these fuzzy ones right here. I should show a tag on it. I want to say it's like a furry, something with the word furry in it, maybe. Yeah, I'm sure you'll be able to make that one out. It was behind the voiceover recording box for me, but and then just a few last euphorbia over here. I like that really prickly looking one. I think that's a euphorbia zigzag. We have more of the fire sticks with the really bright yellow. Right there, those are the trigona, the regular green ones. Another euphorbia amok, if I'm saying that correctly. I know that's what the name of it looks like for sure, but And then just kind of a quick peek in the entryway area here. You can see they are kind of bringing in the spring things. They've got those yellow silk flowers and kind of some other decorations out here. But yeah, let's go home. All right, plant buddies, we are home from Tonkadale Greenhouse. I hope that you enjoyed our visit there today. Believe it or not, I actually did not purchase anything today. Um, I figured if I did, it was going to be some more terrarium plants, and I should probably wait until I have an aquarium ready to go for that. I just don't want to have to try and keep those delicate plants alive outside of the terrarium conditions in the meantime. So if I had let myself purchase one thing, it would have been that peperomia beetle, one of the little tiny 2-inch pots of that. I was almost going to do so, and then I figured I'm going to need to go back there when I'm actually ready to build the terrarium for some of the other more delicate plants. So I should probably hold off and purchase everything all at once for that. So I hope that you enjoyed the tour there today. If you did enjoy this content, don't forget to hit that like button. Would also be much appreciated if you were to subscribe to my channel. And if you have Instagram, go ahead and give me a follow over there. Same username as here, so planty_buds. But yeah, I will see you guys next Saturday with another planty video. Bye.